Who is the GOAT stand-up comedian? George Carlin, but honorable mention to Richard Pryor. The fact that Carlin is both the number 1 and number 2 comment at the time I'm writing this should show something. George Carlin came to say Carlin as he was brilliant at his craft, and Pryor was his equal from another mother. But of all the names I saw mentioned, no one mentioned Red Fox. Most of you all only knew him from Sanford and Son. But that was at the end of his life. He came up in the clubs pre and post the civil rights movement. He was also known as the king of the party records. You couldn't buy one of his records without it being in a plain brown paper bag. Blue before blue became blue. And there was also Uncle Milty, Milton Berle, known not only for his raunchy comedy, but for also being well endowed. I'd also care to mention Martin Short for his ability to not work blue and still get the laughs. All the other names mentioned have their place, depending on your preference. But sometimes it's the OGs that deserve the title for what they had to go through to get to where they did. Carlin would be hard to top. For me it's Richard Pryor. What pisses you off about new movies these days? Most movies are getting watered down for the sake of mass appeal. I get why, but it just sucks. Not just movies but TV shows. They take a book that's got great reviews, make a poor job of translating it on screen, and then flip the ending so it's the opposite of what happened in the book. Proceeds to blame the audience when they pan it for being crap. Lack of originality and a reliance on franchises. The sound mixing. Turn up the volume to hear the dialogue and suddenly you have damaged eardrums because there was an explosion. It's insane. Looking at you, Nolan. Forced comedy. Trailers. They're always about 4 minutes long. Give away the entire plot. Show all the best scenes and jokes and basically ruin the movie before you've even watched it. If Mississippi is the worst U.S. state, which do you think is best? My state, just because. Whatever it is, it's definitely not Virginia. So stop retiring here and driving up the housing costs. Is Mississippi worse than Alabama? I think mathematically Washington or Minnesota might have the best average, though New Hampshire and some others are up there. Canadian here. Minnesota is the best. People from Mississippi, we didn't know that. What is something you regret spending a lot of money on? Nicotine. Clothes for special occasions. Drugs. I spent thousands of dollars over the 10 years of active addiction. I not only paid with cash, but also paid with my life, health, relationships and more. Totally not worth it at all. Coming up on 3 years clean and sober. My wedding. I'm not a very social person, so basically it was a $20,000 silent panic attack surrounded by 120 people, half of whom I don't even know. If I could go back in time with this knowledge, I'd do a $20,000 elopement and travel together for a few months or something. A wedding. Christmas presents for my high school girlfriend only to find out she had been banging multiple dudes while we were together. Fuck you, Emily. Redditors who never work weekends, what kind of job do you have? Work in the kitchen at a convenience store. 4 to noon, Monday to Friday. It's nice. I'm a housekeeper. If I have to clean up unidentifiable liquid, I'll do it on a weekday, god damn it. Lawyer. Worked weekends for most of my life up until I got my license to practice law. I don't particularly miss those days. Crane operator. Monday to Thursday 4 10-hour shifts. I have every Friday, Saturday and Sunday off. I can work Friday if I want and it's double time. Risk analyst here. I work a ton during the week but never during the weekend. There is the downside of out of office hours during the week. But it pays well, so I can't really complain. Software development. What's something awful a celebrity did which most people seem to forget about? Neil Patrick Harris threw a party with a corpse cake made out of meat resembling Amy Winehouse. Shortly after she died, Steven Tyler adopted his 14-year-old girlfriend. Boy George chained a male escort to a radiator and beat him. Emile Hirsch got drunk at a club in Utah and tried to strangle a young woman to death. She blacked out and it took 3 or 4 people to make him stop. One sick puppy. Rihanna made fun of a teenage fan on Twitter. She tried to recreate a dress Rihanna had worn for her prom, and she posted it on Twitter. People made fun of the dress and Rihanna retweeted her favorite insults. Coco Chanel was a Nazi collaborator and possibly a Nazi agent. What is the greatest comedy sketch of all time? Charlie Murphy's True Hollywood Stories. Tim Conway as the dentist on Carol Burnett. SNL Celebrity Jeopardy does it for me every time. Upright Citizens Brigade. Ass Pennies. I've always loved Monty Python's skit of the funniest joke ever written. So funny it would kill you if you heard it. So let's use it in war. The skit itself is almost funny enough to kill you. Carol Burnett's Gone with the Wind parody. What's something teens don't want to hear? These are the best years of your life. When you're not the cool kid and struggling and being told it only goes downhill from here. It's soul-crushing. I'm having a great time now at 30. Was pretty miserable in high school. A lot of your current relationships, friends and dating, won't survive graduation, let alone post-secondary. Not saying you will lose everyone, but you will lose those. So enjoy the friendships now, but just know things are going to change. Clean your room and do the goddamn dishes. While experience is the best teacher, it is not the only one. Your parents, family, etc., have already learned from the best and are trying to impart those lessons because some of them are very harsh. And they don't want to see you hurt. You are not as special or edgy as you think you are. You are not the exception to the rule. Try not to be an ass about it. You'll only feel really bad about it later. No adult who is romantically, sexually interested in a minor actually thinks you're really mature for your age. If they were looking for maturity, they wouldn't be dating a high schooler. They are dating you so that they can A. groom you into the perfect partner while you're young and impressionable, or B. unable to date a partner their own age because they won't put up with this person's abhorrent behavior, attitude. You're really gonna be embarrassed later in life by the stuff you post online while you're a teen. There's going to be a lot that's going to happen that's going to be out of your control, and it's going to fuck with your plans and ambitions. You're going to have an idea of you want to be, and you'll very likely inherit a world with roadblocks that will make that much more difficult. There's no shame in changing your plans, goals, and dreams to something more realistic and more obtainable later. It's good to shoot for the stars, but make sure you know where you're going to land. How do poly people break up? Do they decide and vote out one person at a time like Among Us? Every relationship is different. For us, every Halloween we draw straws that are red or green at the ends, and the 2 red straws have to have a trial by combat. The winner gets to decide the loser's fate. We chose red and green specifically because Carlos is colorblind and it's hilarious watching him do trial by combat every year. Don't worry, he doesn't tip, so he deserves it. It's like Survivor. You do weekly challenges to win immunity. Then you all get together on Sunday and vote. Actual poly person here. Been in and out of many relationships. This is mainly for jokes. Or that's what it's being used for. But I have a legit answer. If the relationship doesn't seem right with a singular person, you don't have to break up the whole relationship. You can just break up with the certain person and the other partner S can make their own decision about the situation. Learned this from breaking up with someone and someone breaking up with me. If the whole relationship is falling apart, you can take it like a regular breakup, but you just break it off with more than one person. If you were actually confused about this. Hope this helped. This feels like a joke question, but the real answer is that each individual person decides who they want to date. It's not like a band or a sports team. Sorry that you're not getting many helpful or serious answers. There are far too many variables for there to be a single answer. Each polygroup has their own way of doing things. It's not like there's a list of rules somewhere. If A and B both decide they no longer want C in their lives, then I imagine C has to find someplace else to live, or someone else to love. Unless, of course, C owns the house, apartment. If A doesn't like C any longer, but B does, then C and A simply don't interact as much. Are there pets involved? Shared property? Shared living space? You see, each situation, each polygroup is unique because each human is unique. In my polycule it's decided via a magic. The Gathering, Super Smash Bros., Settlers of Catan Triathlon. In accordance with the ancient laws of trans girls. Subscribe, my brothers.